I don't think I've ever sincerely used the phrase "no worries if not." I'm worried. I'm worrying my tits off, mate. But it's just something you say, innit? No worries if not. It'd be weird if someone went, "Hey, can you do this thing for me? Here's a list of all the things I'll worry about if you don't do it." I definitely overuse it though. Like, I could have to cancel something because I've got a funeral to go to, and I'd still be like, "Can we rearrange?" No worries if not. I'd be very worried if the "if not" part of that is what happened. Having to convince myself that it's fine, that I'm missing my uncle's funeral, and that he would have wanted me to go paintballing instead. The phrase "no worries if not" is the epitome of being worried. You're worried about what someone thinks. It might be a well-placed worry, like you're genuinely worried about the burden your request is putting on someone, and you don't want them to feel bad if they can't do it. That's still worry though, isn't it? When you say "no worries if not," you're worried about someone else being worried about the worries they'll cause you if they can't accommodate your request. There's so many layers to that. That is peak worry. I think I've only started saying that as an adult. Kids don't say "no worries if not." Babies certainly don't. When a baby wants a tit to suck on, they're not like "no worries if not." They're like, "There's going to be fucking chaos if not." I don't give a fuck where we are. If I don't get to suckle right now, everyone in this vicinity is going to know about it. I don't think as an adult I've ever asked to suck on a tit without saying "no worries if not." I mean, I'm not advocating for people to go around asking to suck on people's tits and then crying and screaming when it doesn't happen. There's an appropriate context. Make sure you're a couple, I'd say, or there's some sort of pre-existing dynamic between you where you sucking on the other person's tit would be feasible. And still say, "Can I suck on your tit, please?" Chuck a please in there. Let's keep chivalry alive. But just don't say "no worries if not" at the end. Work through the worries. If she says no, you can say, "Okay, that's fine. Absolutely fine. I'm just worried because it's something I want to do sexually, and because intimacy is such an important part of any romantic relationship, and if this isn't something you're into, then it could cause resentment and ultimately be the downfall of us." And then she can list her worries. She can say, "I understand where you're coming from, but I'm just worried that it would be an inappropriate thing to do in the middle of Tesco's." We need to stop bottling up our worries. We need to be open about them. It's okay to be worried. Some worries are more justified than others, I'd say. And some of them we've got to fine-tune a bit. Like, I'm well worried about death. I think most people probably are. Like, it's mental that we spend billions of years not existing, and then we're teased with a brief spell on Earth, and then we go back to not existing forever. But I've learned to turn the amplitude of that worry down a little bit, because that's an overwhelming thing to think about constantly. It's good to have it there a little bit though, because worrying about death makes you do stuff. It makes you not want to waste every single day. Sometimes I can't control the worry about death though, and it kind of spills over into me being a hypochondriac and worrying that I've got cancer. Like, I've had a headache before, and I've been so convinced that I'm dying that I've already started planning the last few months of my life. Like, I've half written an Edinburgh show about dying. Bit of an old reference, but remember Rylan, when he got told he was going through on the X Factor and he started like crying because he was so happy? That's me when the doctor tells me I haven't got cancer after I've had a headache for a few days. Also, I have such an appreciation of life after a doctor tells me I'm fine. I feel like God's given me another chance. Like, I did actually have cancer, but then God intervened because he knew I'd appreciate life more. And then I'm like, I'm going to seize the day. I'm going to live every day to the most now. And then a few days later, I'm back to normal. It's funny how old worries that you have don't seem as important anymore. I did a gig at my old university last week at the student union, and when I got there, just being in the building reminded me of all the anxiety I had when I was a student. I was so worried about everything when I was at university, so worried about myself, so anxious that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't good looking enough, and all that stuff. And now 4 or 5 years later, looking back, I think it was ridiculous how much I was worried about that stuff. So that just shows the stuff I'm worried about now probably won't feel like a big deal in 4 or 5 years' time. But I'm still going to worry about stuff. I don't think you can live without worry. Like, even if you could live without worrying, I think that would be a bad life. Like, if you were legitimately 100% content all the time, you've reached enlightenment, and every input from the external world is neither here nor there. It doesn't matter. It all means the same. You attach no suffering or joy to anything. What would be the point? If you're content, then you're just waiting to die. While you're worried, there's still living to be done, baby. That's what happiness is, I reckon. It's that release of tension you get when you've overcome a worry. Then you move on to the next worry. Each worry is like a new mountain. You're like Sisyphus pushing his boulder up the hill. But be grateful, because we're all going to die, and climbing those metaphorical worry mountains is something to do. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. But honestly, no worries if not. See you next time.